Yeah, yeah. What they saying? I'm so divine, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shines. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the palm line. Yeah, I'm so divine, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shines. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the palm line. Yeah, I'm so divine.
Welcome to the H.G.R.G podcast, episode 40. What's going on, fellas? DT, Just Jerry.
What's going on? What's going on?
Salute.
Lance, ask DT if he's with us still, man.
Well, listen, just in case you're asking me, or if you were asking
Nobody
me.
asked you, bro.
I'm back like I never left, baby.
You're on timeout for 5 minutes, bro. We're not talking to you.
We here, Jerry.
Oh, man. This guy, Daddy Yankee's with us again.
Nice.
Daddy Yankee.
Nice to we just need somebody to fill that third part of the triangle. So, Lance, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Were you recording from Miami? This dude.
The mean street of Monroe County.
Yeah, open the door so we can hear the ocean.
Yo, you know what's funny?
Night to go to sleep.
You know what's funny? My wife watched. She watched our podcast. She's a big supporter. She is dying.
My wife is the biggest supporter.
Okay, we believe it. My wife is dying from your last episode. With the shades, she's dying, bro. She's dying.
If you don't know what he's talking about, it's because you're not watching the podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe and go to H.G.R.G.club.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So today on this episode, guys, we want to talk about turnkey properties versus rehab properties and the pros and cons, and obviously our outlook. And we're always going to give it to you guys raw, the truth about it, the ups and downs like we usually do. And that's what we love to do here. So with that being said, I want to start off here because, believe it or not, when Jerry, when you and I were green, we were following someone on YouTube that was taking rehab properties or properties that need to be rehabbing them, making them turnkey, and then selling them. That was his niche, right? Yeah. So he was doing that, and we were like, man, you know what? Not knowing, we were like, maybe that's something we should do. Why not turnkey?
What are your thoughts on that right now?
Oh, now that I know what I know, man, listen, you don't know. All it is the top layer. So you don't know if you get that property and you need to replace the HVAC in 2 years. Or that roof needs to be replaced in 6 years, and that's something you got to look forward to and save up for. So there could be a lot. It might be on the outside, the exterior of everything, right? Not the bones and everything, but the exterior looks great. A lot of makeup, the pictures look right. We're good to go. And you think you are. Yeah. And then you might run into the problems where it's the bones of the property, where if you're green, you don't understand, or you don't ask, or you don't have the team to really go by and take a look at that property thoroughly the way they should. You don't have
H.G.R.G.club.
Say it again.
What was that again?
You don't have H.G.R.G.club.
That's right. Once again, H.G.R.G.club, guys. So listen, with that being said, that being green, I know that runs through people's heads. Right? Because it ran through our heads, and it was something that we thought of.
It's on my head.
Yes, it is on your head. That's a different type of grace.
Really, I didn't think so.
It's a different type of grace. So that it's something that Jerry and I thought about, and you think about the no hassles. Yeah. You think about the just it'll make money for itself, and you don't have to worry about it, and your hands off, and you don't have to worry about anything for the next 20 to 30 years. And you're good to go. But, and we never move forward with it. So I don't know. And I don't want to speak ill of anyone. But, the chances are you're going to run into problems, especially if they put makeup on it. Yeah. I don't know if they're doing a full rehab, the way you would do a full rehab for your property, to make sure it's good. So, this is something we never did. But that's something, like I said, we thought about. We didn't go that way. But we ended up going the rehab way. Just Jerry.
Yep.
without a team. Okay. And to
Well,
be,
It hurts. It hurts.
it was without a team. This was prior to the team. So, and to be frank,
I know it was prior to the team, but initially you had the understanding that you formulated a team.
yes, you're right. Without the right team. Let me say that. Without the right team.
Let's be clear. We're not gonna come here and tell people no bogus stuff. We're gonna be 100% transparent, okay?
Right. So we had a team. Okay, let's be clear. We had a team, just not the right team. Right? So, and we paid for it though.
Absolutely.
Literally and figuratively speaking.
Yeah, absolutely.
We paid for it.
Right.
And we live and we learn. And once again, not to plug H.G.R.G.com again, .club, excuse me, but that's the reason why we created it.
Right, 100%.
We don't want you to take these hits because it can leave you in critical condition. When we're talking about your pockets, your real estate career. So yeah, you don't want to. If you can avoid that by any means, why not? Why not? That's why we give our team, and that's why it's dear to us that we give the team up. But so beyond that, we thought we had the proper team. We went in there and we tried to rehab properties, and turns out we didn't have the proper team, and it hurt us. Being green, not having the right team, thinking we know and we didn't know. And that's it. If you're watching this and you're on your phone, your computer, and you're laughing at it, I mean, it's for you to laugh at. It's my pain, but your entertainment, right?
We definitely that's a laughing hurt. I'm telling you that right now.
I laugh too.
Yeah.
With some tears.
We all laugh together.
I laugh, but I cry internally. But so listen, they both have their pros and cons, right? DT, if you guys pay attention to this podcast, his first flip was a property he went in and he rehabbed. He put the sweat equity in, right? So you started your whole journey off of rehab.
Right.
There are people that love turnkeys.
Yeah.
But you yourself started off a rehab, DT, correct?
Yes, sir.
And when you did that, you got hooked. So what did that make you favor rehabs more than turnkey, or are you game for both, or what does that look like for you in your journey when it comes to turnkey and rehab?
Yeah, 100%. I favor rehabs, and I do favor rehabs on my side of the investment portfolio, or the investment rainbow, if you will.
When you say my side, what do you mean?
In other words, what I do, how I operate. If I'm looking to buy an investment property, I'm not really looking for a turnkey property.
Period.
Because turnkey properties come at a premium, right? You're going to pay for that. So
let me stop you real quick. I'm going to let you go, but I'm sorry. So that there is a con to many people. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to really pay top dollar if they don't have to.
No, so
that's actually pro to many people.
Let's talk about it.
But let's keep it where he's at now. Rehabs. What is the advantage of rehabs?
Right. Well, we'll finish with your story real quick and then give us the advantage. I apologize.
Yeah, actually, I listen, man, you guys just fall back for a second. I don't want to confuse the people because I want to make sure we go fluidly with this. All right. So you made a statement. It's a con to many people. It is. If you are coming from the same type of avenue as me, meaning that you're a local person, you have the means to rehab properties. You have either you do it, you have people that do it. You have the know-how, the wherewithal, the funding to actually get rehabs done within reason to code, and it makes sense, right? If you're that type of person, then yes, it's a pro. But if you're not that type of person, then it's a con. If you're Lance and Jerry and you're shopping from 300, 500, 600 miles away, doing rehabs are not as easy as it is for somebody like myself, who's I'm 5, 6, 7 miles away from the actual property.
That's true. I mean, I was saying it's a con to pay top dollar for property.
I'm gonna get there.
Right. Okay. My bad, man.
Baby steps, baby. Baby steps. Go ahead.
I don't have sunglasses like you, but you know what I'm saying.
You want them?
Okay, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
So if you're that close to the actual property, you could physically, tangibly, take care of it, grab the bull by the horns and all that good stuff. That's where I'm coming from as far as me saying that rehabs are what I look for. That's my wheelhouse.
That's because is that because you touch them physically?
Yes.
And you rehab them physically.
Yes, and that's me. That's my perspective.
Remove you, and
remove myself, and let me go to somebody like yourself.
Like
you guys, or somebody similar who's miles away. It doesn't matter if you're
no. I want you to give us an example or a guy like us, because we don't fix the properties, and if you put me in a house to fix, it's gonna stay the same. I'm telling you that right now.
Well,
that's what I want you to be. You're local, you're there, but you cannot fix the property. Sweat equity.
You're not a to fix it.
How can you grab the bull by the horns?
So I'll give you both sides of the point. Me being a local person who wants to invest in rehabs, but I don't physically know how to swing a hammer.
Correct.
Right. You could facilitate that. You could hire people, you could fire people, you could manage it. You could see, okay, this contractor said they're going to charge me XYZ. I'm going there. The progress is not what I like, and this is really how to formulate a team. Right. Yep. So you hire somebody. If it works, it's great. If it's not, trial and error, you figure it out. If you're a local person who could tangibly be at the property, physically be at the property, you could figure that out. You could do that that way. If you're somebody who doesn't swing a hammer, but you're 700 miles away or 1,000 miles away, it's the same process, but you just need people to check and balance those people who are working.
Correct.
Right. So, obviously you have to build a team. Who is that team? H.G.R.G.club is that team for you. Nevertheless, if you don't have a H.G.R.G.club in your specific market, which, coming to you soon, then you have to establish that. What we do works in every and any market, right? We speak specific to our market, but everything we do works in any and every market if you pay attention. I can go to any market in any city, in any nation, in any world, take everything that I know and practicize it. No, not practicize, it's not even a word. Make it practical to that market and succeed 100%. Will it be at the same magnitude? Yes, it just takes time. And obviously the market that we're in works at specific percentages, which we just so happen to be like number one in the US with as being a cash cow. So it's not going to be the same returns cash cow wise as this market. Nevertheless, that market will work for whatever that market does. It's going to be successful. So if I am a local investor or an overseas or not local investor, a different state, different town, whatever. Yes, you could do rehabs 100%. You can also do turnkey. So I said that for me, if I'm buying a property, from my wife and I are buying a property, I target rehabs because I get them at a lot more favorable price. I can do the work for a very reasonable cost. I hustle materials, I hustle labor, I hustle everything to make it worth my while, right? And then obviously, once I got the property all done, my rent is just a forever, ever and ever recidual income. So
you practicize it.
Yeah. Now, if another business that I also do, right? I also buy properties, and this goes into our last episode where I said I play in all from 1 to 10, our scale of properties. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. I'll buy any property in any neighborhood. It doesn't mean that I'm going to keep it, because if I buy a 1 and I don't like ones, I could buy it if the price is right, fix it, get a C of O, a certificate of occupancy, put a tenant in there, show that I'm seeing $700 to $800 a month, and sell it to an investor as a turnkey property.
Right.
You
practicize it.
I practicize it. I could do that myself. That's the word we made that up. That's our word.
That's our word.
That's our word. And I love how that just flowed. So we practicize it, and we do that like something that we do regularly. And one of the niches that, like Lance said, some people have that turnkey, and that's their niche, right? They'll fix a property, rehab it, and then sell it to an investor either with or without a tenant. Typically with a tenant. And it's enticing to most green people, right? Because they don't really want to they don't want to buy a project. because most people are like, all right, I'm kind of a rubber band. I'm stretching myself already. I'm spending the maximum dollars amounts. I'm getting finance for this. My bank won't approve it if it's not turnkey anyway, right? Because financing is a big thing. Right. If you don't buy a property, it's in respectable condition and or financeable condition, you really can't buy a rehab project for the most part unless you get a rehab loan, with financing. So if you're not a cash buyer as an entry-level buyer, then it's a big part. So an entry-level buyer, a green buyer who is is going to finance that deal, FHA or conventional or commercial, it has to be financeable. So the bank is not going to finance a project for the most part, unless you get that type of a loan.
Jules.
But this is the reason why it's a pro and a con. But it's for green, it's definitely a con. For a season, we can make it work that we'll get a loan for this.
You're talking about rehab.
Okay. Rehab, sorry. I'm talking about rehab, sorry. We could get a loan for it.
Yeah. Or
a private lender. We get it fixed up and then refinance and get it right and give it right back to the loan. So seasoned, yes, it's a pro because we're making a pro.
Yeah.
Green, it could be a con.
I'm glad you said it. It could be a con and it could be a pro. It just depends on what type of green investor you are, what you're exposed to, because obviously there's levels to that. Nevertheless, I mean, any way you can get into real estate is going to always be a pro done right.
Correct.
And I can see how a turnkey to somebody new, like I said, just Jerry and I, we were looking at it, we were honing in on turnkey. And especially if you had a tenant there being green, you're like, listen, we can buy it right now. We get paid next month, baby.
Right.
Like that excitement you get. I just know it because, I lived it. So you get the excitement. We get paid right away. He pays $800 a month. So you get that, and you're like, let's go get it.
In the business, that's called a CC deal, close and collect.
Correct.
Close and collect.
Right. So for him, for that statement right there, for a green investor getting turnkey, eyes are open. Why not?
Yeah, close and collect.
Why not?
Still close and collect. On paper, it's amazing. I buy this property, I pay.
You said the key word.
90K. The rent is $1,000 a month. My mortgage is $750. My property management is this. At the end of the day, I'm collecting, $200, $150 a month, and it's just residual income. Simple as that. On paper.
Until you find out that person hasn't paid in 3 months.
Right. Especially during like this environment with COVID. We're obviously we're on the back end of it, Lord willing. But on paper, it's what it sounds like. And that's the biggest I would say the biggest hiccup, the biggest con about buying a turnkey property is unfortunately, but we talk real here, is how many people have taken advantage of the masses by saying, I have a turnkey property, produced turnkey numbers on paper, and none of those numbers, and they're not really actual facts, right? Even when you just talk to people who are even seasoned and you tell them I have turnkey anything, they're like, I don't deal with that. It's a scheme, or it's a this, it's a that, because it's already, it's like a preconceived notion that anything that's turnkey is too good to be true.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they just put certain numbers on paper. Like, people are buying properties that are worth, 80% of what they're putting on paper. The rent amounts are 120, 130% of what they should be. And then when you buy it, because I'm the turnkey buyer, the green guy, I overpaid. And the rent that I was supposed to be collecting is higher than it really should be. So it's not going to be sustainable. And then now when I have it, now it's my problem.
So let me ask you a question. And this is a question that they ask me every time. When you say turnkey, do I have to do any maintenance on that property?
Loaded question.
It's a loaded question.
Ideally, when you buy a turnkey property, The theory in that is that no, you do not have to do any maintenance.
Theory. Thank you. Yes.
The theory in that is that you're buying a property that essentially, that's why it's called turnkey. You put the key in the front door, you open the lock, you walk in, you close the door, you live there, and that's it. There's nothing else to do.
What's the reality?
Reality is that that's not reality. and let me be clear. It depends on what type of turnkey operation you're dealing with, right?
And to add to that, I'm sorry. It may not be the owner who's selling it did anything wrong. It could be everything worked before a week ago. And then when he sold it to you 2 weeks later, the boiler went.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the owner. It's just turnkey sounds great
in
theory.
He's making sure everything works for you when you get in there.
Yeah. And listen, at the final walkthrough. So if you're going to close today or tomorrow, you do a final walkthrough. At final walkthrough, everything worked fine.
Correct.
So in theory, this is a turnkey operation.
Correct.
Right.
Now, what happens tomorrow is not on me. I handed it over to you as the seller as a turnkey operation.
Correct.
That's how some people operate in turnkey. So turnkey is a phrase, is a real estate term that's played with, and it's honestly it's almost disrespected. It's mishandled in so many different ways. But there's also people who do turnkey operations that they offer guarantees
for like 6 months to a year.
6 months, yep.
Like that.
Right. So so we're not here to bash, every turnkey operation and, kind of red flag every turnkey operation. Nevertheless, we're also here to tell you that, yes, you should be hesitant, super apprehensive, and make sure that you cross your T's and dot your I's on no matter what turnkey or not turnkey operation it is. But there are some out there that will offer you a turnkey operation that hand over a property with or without a tenant, will do a guarantee on the maintenance for 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever that looks like. So that is truly a turnkey operation. You will not have any expenses. Now, even with that comes the variable of the tenant not paying.
Correct.
Right. So I'm offering you a product that is for 1 year, you will have zero expenses as far as the product. Right. But the user, I'm not guaranteeing.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
That user may or may not be the greatest tenant to pay their rent on time, whatever that looks like, specifically through like the pandemic we just went through. So, turnkey, what is that? Right. If I'm offering you a turnkey operation, are you offering me turnkey just for the product, or is it turnkey for the investment? Am I going to see the return? Is it a turnkey return, or is it a turnkey product?
Right.
That's great. That's actually great. I actually wanted to bring it back one step too, when you were saying that, someone green overpaid and then they're not getting the rents that they thought. So someone might ask, well, how is it that they're showing me that they're paying, let's say 800, they're paying 800, but the rents really there are 675. How does that happen? And I think I can tell you this is that a person, I don't want to say someone that's scheming or scam, but someone that wants to get that property off would take the first person that'll pay 800, regardless if they're going to be good or not. Yep. No vetting, nothing. Stick them in there, right? So that way you can see that they have an agreement, right? Which would be a lease agreement that shows how much they pay, 800, whoop-de-whoop, blah, 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 and you'll see it. And they have their proof, right? But the thing is that when you get them, you don't know if that person is going to keep up with that payments. And the chances are they may not if they were not vetted, right? So you have that there. And then you have a person that's actually worth something, that will pay the rent, will know better that they're not going to overpay $800 for this property when they know they can probably get something better.
For the price of
that is overpriced. So now you're stuck having to lower your price. And then you have a tenant that may not be paying because it's overpriced. And then when you do get them out, and then you get someone at the right price, which would be two tenants, say they're they mirror each other, each side, 625, right? Now you were expecting to get $175 more for each side, right. And now you're minus that, and now what you thought you were bringing in, you now have to minus that money, and now you're in a hole. Yeah. Now you're in a situation, and that's how that happens.
That 15% return just turned into a 4 or 5% return,
just like that.
And to add to that, you thinking you're getting money, and you're dishing out money because you have to get them out. How do you get them out?
Gotta pay.
You gotta pay, and now they're not paying. Nobody's paying. Now you're in a deficit. Now you're in a game that a turnkey property that you thought you was going to make money on, is now your worst nightmare.
Yeah, I got an example,
and that's how people get in and out right away. I'm telling you, man.
Story time with DT. Story time with DT. I got an example. Several investors who we deal with purchase properties, and the actual value of the property should have probably been in like the 60, 70, 80,000 range. And they
I know what you're talking about.
80, 90, 100,000 range just for the property. Okay. They were told that rents were, $7, $8, $9, $1,000 a unit. And in truth, they were 4, 5, 6, 700. You know what I mean? A unit. They were lied to. Essentially, they were lied to. All the numbers were.
Is this person we're talking about is West Side? From the West Side?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember exactly.
Well, that's one of them, but there's
okay.
Yes, one on West Side. So they purchased a portfolio, not just one property, a portfolio of properties under the notion that the numbers are true, and they're overseas. They live in a different country, a whole different continent, and they were told these are numbers, is what it is. They purchased it, whatever. When they purchased it, they were attached to a management company. Then that management company, for whatever reason, didn't produce to their liking. So then they come over to a different, our management company. So when we saw the numbers, it was like you were lied to. None of that is true. Like
you were bamboozled.
Yeah. Listen, the fix is in. You lost. Right. I know the end result to this game. You lost. Now, if you hold on to the properties long enough, if you weather this storm, you'll win eventually, right? But if you think that this is what it is, it's not that. That has been part of. That's really how I got introduced to the property management, because I'm the person that's willing to have those hard conversations. I have to have those, because it's just part of the business. It's part of the business. So nevertheless, those people purchase properties at probably 20%, 30% more than they were worth. And then now they've owned them for 7 or 8, 9, 10 years, right? And they can't sell them for the numbers that they paid for them 10 years later.
It's crazy.
And they have
didn't get the rent. Are they getting the rents that they once thought they would get?
No. Not the rents, not even, they're not even getting that. And then on top of that, the type of mortgages that they signed on to were, when they bought a portfolio of 8 properties, 9 properties, 10 properties, they can't sell one property. They got to sell all of them.
Sugar.
They can't just sell one at a time. They got to sell them all or nothing. It's a blanket mortgage. They can't separate them. And if they separate them, the penalties are like $50,000, $35,000.
It makes no sense.
Value the property. So it's like, if I have a property that's worth $50,000, right? Let's say it's worth 50, and let's say I got somebody that's willing to pay me 50. I have to pay 35,000 on top of the 50 just to sell it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
It don't make no sense. So they're like super stuck, and then they fall back on, it's a management issue. No, it's not a management issue. You bought wrong. Right. You bought wrong.
Wrong.
Management can't fix the numbers that, the fix was in before you signed the paper.
Right. You can't determine, a management can't determine the market.
Not just the management. Nobody in life can fix your situation. Now, what we can do is we can have a come to Jesus. I can tell you what it is. We could talk about how to get onto a track where this is going to be your new reality. Can you accept this? Yes or no? Because I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. This is what it is.
Right.
You got plan A, plan B, plan C. You keep it. These are the rent amounts. This is the property values. Over this amount of time, eventually you'll win. you fix them up, you put CFOs, whatever, you sell them, you're going to lose, but you're only going to lose this much.
Right.
Plan C is you just find somebody else and let them see what they can do, and
find somebody else to lie to you.
Or like you said, they could pay the penalties, but that would just be ridiculous.
Yeah, but you're
in the red for real.
You're losing on what you already lost for. That just doesn't.
It wouldn't make any sense. Or move management, and then have someone lie to you.
And most of the time, that's what they do. They'll jump management because they think maybe somebody else could tell me something different.
Right.
Maybe this person doesn't have the same view as this other person. And then the problem is that the person who sold them the properties, right? They still communicate with that person, even though they realize that they've been had. Right? They realize that they've been had. They tell me, I know this person got me. They took advantage of me, and they are scumbags. They're this or that, right? They'll still communicate with that person. And their reasoning for keeping that line of communication open is because they have a dream that if he sold these properties to me this way, with that influx and them lies and all that stuff, if I reintroduce myself to this person and let him know that I want to sell these properties, maybe he'll sell them for me
to someone else,
and at least help me break even.
Right.
It never works that way, though.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't.
So, but nevertheless, that's why you got to be super careful. With turnkey operations, whether you're, local, you're domestic, you're international. And that's a part of my job. Is talking to investors and letting them know, my interest on the property management side is for you to buy right. I'd rather you buy one property right than have 10 properties wrong. Absolutely. I make more money when you have 10, but I don't like that money.
But you sleep better when you get.
I don't like that 10 properties wrong. I like one property right because you understood what you bought. The numbers are true. The neighborhoods you have a very clear understanding of. When in 1 year from now, when a tenant moves out, you're not surprised. If this tenant stays here for 10 years, you're not surprised because this is all stuff we talked about prior to.
Right. You
have a clear understanding. That's a very, very, very huge thing in which we take very seriously here. And where do you get that from? H.G.R.G.club. How do you get that? How do you navigate that? Who's going to tell you? We don't have a vested interest in you purchasing a property. Strategically, we don't have a realtor that if you purchase, we're gonna and we see funds off of that. It's strategically, it's not that, because we don't want it to be that the more properties you buy, the more affluent you'll be, and the more we're gonna have a better relationship. It's not about that. It's about you buying one property right or 100 properties right. But essentially, it's having the knowledge of how to do that. That's what it's about.
Correct, and we teach you the way and stay with you.
Right. A to Z.
Yeah, we stay with you. So one property the right way, we're happy. 10 properties the wrong way, we're gonna tell you the straight up truth. You fucked up here.
That wasn't.
You fucked up here.
Let me ask you this, just Jerry. Having the team that you have now, would you ever buy anything turnkey, or would you still rehab?
That's a loaded question for me because because I have the right team to tell me if the house is turnkey. But would I buy, knowing that I could buy a rehab and do it a little cheaper? Yeah, I wouldn't. But if the numbers fit, don't get me wrong. If the numbers fit, I'm jumping in.
Exactly.
I am so seasoned that I know if a turnkey, they're gonna up the price. If we get the number to fit my numbers, then I'm getting it.
Example.
But if it's not.
Example, you get a property that's $70,000. And it needs $15,000-$20,000 worth of work. So at the end of the day, you're all in at 80-90K, right? That same property next door to that house, there's a turnkey operation for $90,000 with a tenant paying $1,100, brand new CFO. It's done. It's finished. You don't have to do nothing. All you got to do is sign, seal, deliver. It may be worth that to you.
90K, I didn't have to do nothing for it, and I'm selling it for the other one is 89. I'm jumping on that's a number that works.
No. The other one's 75, but it needs about, once you do all the work to it, it'll equal 90K as well.
Right.
Correct. So that's what I say, 89.
On your end, the house next. So you own the house on the left, and the house on the right is for sale for 90K. It's a true, it's an accurate, true turnkey property. You purchased the property on the left for 75K, and he's 15K worth of work, plus your time.
I'm done. 90K.
I wouldn't even buy this when I'd buy the 90K because it makes all the sense in the world. So
I try to buy both of them.
Honest, I was just about to say you said it too fast.
I would try to buy both of them, but that 90K is sold, bro.
Right.
It takes
but for the sake of this argument here, the pros and cons and turnkey versus rehab, if you have a true turnkey, right? If that theory is correct with that turnkey property, right, and it's apples to apples, you want to go ahead and go with something that's turnkey, get somebody in there, not waste your time. You want to make money. We're here to make money. It's a business. Right. So you want to go with the turnkey. Just make sure that you have your team making sure that property is what it's supposed to be.
Is it real turnkey?
Right. And the numbers line up properly. And then once you have all that, you pull the trigger. Pull the trigger. Yeah. It's not that we favor one over the other. Well, I mean, DT might, because of he specializes in, uses his hands.
Well, actually, we do because
I don't know why he
said that. That's why I don't understand why we even have this guy on the show.
He likes to call it out, bro. I don't know what the hell.
Like what? What did you really just say that?
But so the pros of a turnkey is
if it's really a turnkey, the pros of it are that you basically use CC. You close and cash out.
And no real time invested, no extra money invested.
Yeah.
And like you said,
ideally you're headache free, you're maintenance free, at least for your first year. You don't have to worry about placing a tenant. You don't have to worry about a roof leak. You don't have to worry about a furnace. You don't have to worry about waters and all this, for the first year, when you're figuring out your new journey, because you're green, right? How to allocate money to pay mortgages and dealing with property management, accountants, and, all the new stuff that you deal with when you get involved with real estate. It allows you to spend more time on that because you're not so invested in the day-to-day operations on a turnkey operation.
As long as they are who they say they are.
Good shit. What's the cons?
They got to be who they say they are.
It might not be what they said it is.
Correct. Okay. All right. And the price point as well.
Yes, the price point may not be today's price on that one. You know what I'm saying?
Price point as well. Price point on a turnkey. You're gonna pay for
a price point on a turnkey could be a con. It can also be a pro.
If you buy right. Correct.
If you're a cash buyer, it gives you another way to negotiate as well. People love cash buyers.
Typically, that's a fact. Recently, that's don't even matter no more. But it'll change. It'll go back. It won't always be like this.
It's already going to start correcting. Actually,
right? Yeah, it'll correct itself. But yeah, no.
So what's the pros? What's the pros for rehab?
Price points are pros.
The work is the work that's actually getting done,
and you do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
Price point is you do it the way you want to do it. Typically rehabs, excuse me, there's a higher ceiling on rehabs, because you're doing it the way you want to do it.
Correct.
For example, you have a property that, excuse me, you have a space that you can create a third bedroom, a fourth bedroom. Obviously that increases rent.
You're talking dirty now, baby.
Yeah,
dirty now.
Right, 100%. If you could add a half a bath. Now you take yourself from where it was to where, you brought it to a whole new place.
So, rent.
Right. And then rent, everything you do has to be rent based, right? If you add a bathroom, add a bedroom, whatever you do,
now you have a 3-bedroom
maximize the rent amount that I can give.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that turnkey might come with carpets. When you have yours, and that's a rehab, you might want wooden floors if you could do that, right? So that way you don't have to keep replacing the carpets. So that way you can help yourself in the long run as well. There's a lot of
gems, kids. Gems.
That's fire.
That's why you guys keep.
You kind of just repeated what I said, but that was actually a good point.
Yeah, what's the cons, guys? What's the cons on rehab?
Before we go to cons, to Lance's point, 100% accurate, because on a turnkey, when you receive it, typically they in their brain already maximize the rent amount, so they charge the tenant that you inherit the most amount of rent that they can get, because that's how they get the highest sale price, right? So if that property is going to be, the ceiling is 900, then when you bought it because the tenant's paying 900, because that's how the numbers work. On a rehab for that same property, you may have been able to change a wall, a room, a bathroom, and where they took it to their ceiling being 900, you might have been able to take it to 950, 975, 1,000. So on a rehab, that's where it benefits you, because you may be able to be a little bit more creative than whoever did it before, or you may be willing to spend the extra $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $10,000 to now get that $100 extra a month, which essentially over the course of years, it adds up. You know what I'm saying? Up 10 years and so on and so forth. So on a rehab, that's a benefit. Now the cons of a rehab.
Let me add in real quick.
Yep, go ahead.
For your turnkey, you also buying somebody else's thought of turnkey. So if some
product,
correct,
product and their workmanship.
Correct. So if they only had $12,000 to spare to make a turnkey, they used $12,000. If they needed 15, they did shortcuts to make it 12,000. And that's turnkey for them.
For sure.
Which is shortcutted. Typically, it's shortcutted in workmanship.
Yep.
Quality of flooring, quality of countertops, cabinets, products in general. So,
I just wanted to add that in.
100%. Great point. The cons. Sometimes I just can't, man. I'm gonna tell you right now. Sometimes I'll be like, I hate it.
The thing is, I don't want to repeat what you say, like Lance does. He just repeats what you say and then makes
makes you sound smart.
That's all that happens. Go ahead. But the cons. Go ahead. Cons of rehab, bro.
So actually, I'm gonna go ahead. Listen, Mr. Great Point. The best ball here. Whoa, but go ahead. You tell me the cons.
The cons is not having the proper team. I've been there. If you don't have the proper team and you think you're going in there for a rehab that should have taken 2-3 weeks now turns into 3 months, because you had to hire and fire and hire and get through people, and it costs you more money. So now you're behind the 8 ball again. Now you're back to that nightmare experience that just Jerry was talking about earlier.
Quickly dumb that down. What is a team? What
you want the proper contractors in there, that have the proper prices, can do the proper work for you, know what you want done, have your vision in mind. And then, if that's not that, usually you're going to learn that as the process is happening. Right. So that's when the learning curve comes in, and that's when the heartbreak starts to come in, when it's already in action.
How important is your realtor in that?
Listen, that's you giving out jewels, man. That's what we did. So it's very, very big. If you have a realtor come in and take a look at what's going on and be your eyes and ears and boots on the ground, a property manager as well, maybe follow up and see what's going on. That's how you can nip it in the butt early. But if you don't have that game plan, that mindset, really, to be honest with you, Jerry came up with that, because we were sitting around for a while, hoping and praying, really, being green. And then we're like, we don't have no system. There's no system. So what are we doing? How do we know? Yeah, he said the work is done. Okay, Lance, but how do we know? Well, he said.
You learn real fast that what he says means absolutely nothing.
Yeah. All right, Lance, that's great. We'll go off what he says, right? So, but we'll never know. So we don't know. Even when we started getting pictures, they became slick with how they would,
angle the
pictures and whatnot. Real Instagram stuff. How they would angle the pictures and whatnot, and we're like, okay, let's do it.
You telling me they use filters?
they use shade and blinders and all kinds. That's what they did.
You mean to tell me they use filters?
It was, a lot of stuff that should have been done wasn't done, and we just had to come up with a system. So
you need a solid team, man. You need so it goes from contractors to realtors to property managers to inspections. You need a solid team, because if you're gonna rehab a property, And if you're not there, if you're not there,
attorneys, banking.
Yeah, you need all that correct, because if you buy the property and you have to rehabbing it, contractors lie to you, realtors lie to you, property managers lie to you. If you don't have the right team, you just lose a lot of money.
A lot of times when you hear that turnkey talk, right? And you guys correct me if I'm wrong, you know, because you guys been through YouTube rabbit hole, right? On the YouTube videos or whatever you've seen or heard or talked about, right? Have you ever heard somebody emphasize how important a realtor is? A realtor?
No.
Not
when it comes to something like this.
What I want to do is I want to take like 2 minutes, because I want this to be clipped up specifically. How important is a realtor in the buying process of a rehab property or a turnkey property?
It's huge.
It's probably the backbone of what you do.
Huge,
right? Yeah. And how you choose that realtor is really going to be the cause of your success or your failure. Okay, right. If your realtor is not doesn't have understanding of your dynamic, of your areas, and what type of investor you are, they'll go to a property. And you may have somebody who wears a certain type of shoe and certain type of dress, who doesn't want to walk in the basement, doesn't get thorough in what the structure is, the foundation is, and they're going to screw you. And because
won't take a look at the attic.
Yeah, they're not going to do the ins and outs and stuff like that. Nevertheless, you're going to have the opposite. You're going to have the person who they get on their knees, they go in, they do this, they do that. If you have that person, and that person goes in and tells you, hey, Lance, this is what it's looking like. I'm not a contractor, but I saw A, B, C, D, E, boom. That's going to be the key to your success. So all these people that speak about, oh, you don't need a realtor, bypass them, do the wholesaler, do the flipping, do it yourself. All you need is pictures. You could just send a contractor there a couple days later to figure it out for you. May beg to differ. Realtors are a super, super big key to success, used and done right.
Especially if you're green.
And none of us are realtors, and none of us make any dollars and no cents off of realtors, but we advocate for them because we know how important they are. But they're so hard to find one. I was talking to a realtor today, and I'm gonna end this shortly. She said to me, and she's the best realtor I have. She said to me, the pandemic spoiled realtors because they were just able to list properties, and they sold for over asking.
Yep.
Right.
And any realtor who became a realtor during the pandemic doesn't really know what a realtor is.
Right.
Now,
grind.
After this, like from now moving forward, the realtors are really going to have to separate themselves from who's the right and who's the wrong, because now they got to get back to the basics. Now they got to sell the properties again. They got to go the extra above and beyond.
Correct.
And you're going to see who's who. So we H.G.R.G advises you, find out who's who as your realtor.
That's right. I love it.
On our team.
I love it. Find your who's who.
Find your who's who.
I love it. I love it. Listen, guys, at the end of the day, you know, we try to give you our perspective on everything. You know, that's turnkey versus rehabs. We give you our experiences, what we know, what we've been through, and hope that you guys, you know, are entertained and educated at the same time. So we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you on the other side.
We ask you, man, tap in, tune in, lock in, listen to what we're saying. We don't just speak because, you know, we have lips and we don't like to hear ourselves talk. You know, we do this because we want people to learn. We want people to win. Nevertheless, like, we're giving out real game, real information. If you make it practical to your life, you will be successful. My mom tell me, you show me who you are, I'll tell you who you'll be. You know, if you want to be successful,
stop talking.
You don't he giving motivation right now. He's in the locker room.
Right now.
I'm telling you right now, if you you know, check your podcast, check your YouTube, you know, look at the list. What do you look at? How much entertainment is there? How much is game? How much is gonna get you where you want to be? If you wake up in the morning, you're not happy with your situation and you're not tapped into H.G.R.G, you got to fix your life. We here for you. We here.
Preach. Out of here.
Yo, we done after this one.
Yeah. What they saying? I'm so divine, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shines. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the palm line. Yeah, I'm so divine, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shines.